Hello and welcome back to the Paper Soprano podcast. I am your host. My name is Heidi, and it is good to be back with you guys today. Not really much going on today. Very, very low key day. I almost feel like this day didn't really even happen because there was so little going on. And sometimes that's okay. And when you are dealing with a day like this, you just have to acknowledge the fact that not every day of your life is going to be super exciting, and that's okay. So, I'm hoping that because today is the 21st of December, that in the next couple of days there'll be some exciting things, and obviously things will be abridged and, socially distanced and things like that in terms of gatherings, and things aren't going to be as exciting as they would be in normal times, but still I'm looking forward to some general excitement. I don't know. What are you guys doing for Christmas? Like, what's everybody's doing? What the heck is everybody gonna do? You know? Like, I really do wonder about people's plans and what's gonna go on, you know? And I also have been thinking for the past couple of days about, specifically about New Year's Eve. I kind of have this very strange, glorified perception of New Year's Eve, and I feel as though my standard for New Year's Eve has not even been close to being met yet in my life. All of the past 25 New Year's Eves that I have experienced have been extremely subpar, and maybe that's like a sign, like maybe in my future life I will be the one to throw a New Year's Eve party, or I'll be the one to create it, because I have these extremely high expectations set for New Year's Eve, and I don't know why. It's kind of the same way with Halloween. And those are definitely not related. Like but I have these really high expectations for New Year's and Halloween, but New Year's is coming up, so I'm thinking about that more obviously. But yeah, I don't know what it is. I always just kind of feel like I want it to be a really, really fun party, and I want everybody I know who I want to celebrate with to be there, and it's very idealized, and I don't really feel like I ever get that. I think the past couple of New Year's have been really, really subpar in terms of just, um, the person that I was with didn't want to do anything, and he didn't want to go out and do the things that I wanted to do, and I was just kind of okay with that, and I kind of made myself seem okay with that, but in reality I'm not, and I want to go out and do things, and I am very much, I'm the kind of person who does want to have a big party and who does want to have those big social gatherings. Like, that is my personality, and I think that I haven't necessarily been truthful with people about that. Some of my friends who really know me and who understand the kind of person that I am will totally get this and be like, "Oh yeah, of course. Like, Heidi loves to hang out and like have a good party and have people over." Like, but there are some people in my life who don't really understand that, and it has been frustrating in years past, because you try and express things to people, but also you try and do what they want to do also. So it's like this weird balance that you have to have around holidays and around birthdays and things like that, where you have to make sacrifices for people. And I acknowledge that I have made sacrifices like that in the past, and I don't enjoy them. I don't really love it, but I've done it, and I've done it out of love, and I do it because I want other people to be happy. And it just sucks because now, this New Year's, I feel like perhaps it could have been a year where I could have, thrown a big party or done something because I am finally free of, not finally free, oh my God, but like, I'm free of those expectations of others, specifically, significant others who have different expectations for parties or for holidays. And, I could have done that this year if it wasn't for COVID. So it does kind of suck, but I do feel like I have been really looking into the future a little bit, and I think that those times, those good times are a coming, And it seems really lame to say that, but I do very much feel that. And I've talked about this a couple times on the podcast before, but I have always wanted to move into the city. Right now, I currently live out on Long Island, pretty far out on Long Island, I would say. And I have always been, I have had this feeling for, I would say, like pretty much all of my young adult life, where I have wanted to live in the city and have that very, metropolitan life where, you know, you're on fire escapes and rooftops and it's all very glamorous and blah, blah, blah. But it's also, there's a lot of grit involved and that kind of aspect of it. And I love that. I love the struggle. I love the dichotomy between like, the good, the bad, and the ugly, all those things. Well, that's three things, but um, you know what I mean. So it's those things are on the horizon for me, and I feel like I am making choices to become a better version of myself now. And like, I'm not trying to idealize the future, but like, I do feel as though the choices that I'm making will put me in a place where I am comfortable with the future and I'm happy with it. And I'm trying not to be like, oh my God, like the grass is greener in the future. And it's like, it's always never going to be good enough. And like thinking about the future, blah, like that's not what I'm trying to get at here. Um, but I do feel like those things are coming. And I hope that, in the future it can be a little bit more exciting. And I don't know about you guys, but I certainly am like, I feel like I'm learning so much about how to make things what I want instead of just expecting things and getting upset when they're not what I want them to be or they didn't turn out the way that I hoped they would be. Because something about life that has always made me very upset is the fact that other people, whether it's like your family or your friends or your boyfriend or whatever, just don't really live up to your expectations. And I'm not saying this in a mean way, like, let me explain. I mean it in a way that's like, I expect what I give. And for the most part, I feel like I'm the kind of person who gives so, so, so much and will do just about anything for the people that I care about. And it is frustrating when you meet people who are not entirely like you and they are not you. So it's frustrating when it's like, oh, I expect people to, I expect to get what I give. And here I am, laying myself out on the line for people and it's not coming back to me. And I get very frustrated and sad about that. And it's hard because, who are they to have to respond to my needs, Like what is I'm putting these really, really ridiculous expectations on people and I shouldn't be doing that. But at the same time, it's like also I do expect a certain, you know, demeanor and certain tasks and certain things from others. It's not entirely unbelievable. You know what I mean? So, what I'm getting at here is I think that I am learning, specifically in this pandemic, it's like I can't myself, this might not apply to you, so don't take this the wrong way. Take absolutely everything I say in this podcast with a grain of salt. But for me, I have to start being there for myself. And I think that's one of the reasons why I would get so frustrated, is because not because other people weren't there for me, because most of the time they were, um, but I wasn't there for myself in a lot of these scenarios. And somehow my brain was like, oh yeah, if you like give 100% of yourself to someone else and you do all that, then like they're going to give it back to you and you're going to be like totally fine, fulfilled, automatically amazing, great. And that's just not how it is. And that's not how it worked, obviously, because, certain people have levels of selfishness and self importance that are different than mine. And clearly, mine is much, much too low. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying that in a negative way per se, but in a way it is. So, um, when I say somebody is selfish, that's not necessarily a bad thing. In a lot of ways, I wish that I could be more selfish and less like, self loathing and things like that, because I've always kind of been that way. And it has led me to just put these expectations on other people to fill the gaps that I have within myself. And that's like super not healthy. And it's like, it's like, oh God, yeah, they can't do that. Even if they were to give, all the things that I expected, it's still not going to be enough, you know? So basically, I think that the moral of the story here is if I want to have a New Year's Eve party, I'm going to have to first have a New Year's Eve party by myself and be okay with the fact that it's exactly what I want and I have to like rearrange my expectations for things and um yeah, you know what I mean. I think more maybe the plan would be if I wanted to have a certain New Year's Eve gathering or a certain holiday gathering, I would have to put on the gathering myself instead of hoping that I would get invited to someone's and hoping that, everything would go a certain way and hoping that, somebody would even have a party and they would invite me to one and everything would be perfect and amazing and, really great social interactions and blah, 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 blah. Like, it's not fair for me to put those kinds of expectations on other people. So I guess that's what I'm talking about, really. And I've just been thinking a lot about this because of the holidays and because, you know, Christmas itself has a lot of expectations tied to it. I don't know if it's the same with your family or whatever, but the expectation always outweighs the reality. And I think that that's something that we all can work on is just managing your expectations and being okay with the fact that, like, first of all, this year is going to look very different for sure. The next couple of days are going to look very different. But also in the future, when we're not dealing with this, like managing your expectations is so hard because it just is, and it has to do with your ego and it has to do with your perception of yourself, and like the idea that it has to do with your ego is something that's so difficult to really grasp. And I'm talking about it right now like I know what I'm talking about, but I really don't, that level of like of self and self-worth and like ego in general is so huge in expectations. Because while you do want it to go well for like other people and you want the social interactions to be top notch and you want to have a really good time, it's also about you, and you want to feel something and you want to have those holes in your soul filled, you know what I mean? Like you want things for yourself. And you're just expecting other people to do it instead of you doing it. So it's a level of comfort also, it's a level of ease, it's ego tied into all of these expectations from others. So then it's like, okay, when all of these things get come crashing down, evidently, because they were never going to be what you expected, they were never going to be perfect, they were never going to meet those crazy high expectations, then it's like, oh no, I'm horrible, I'm terrible, like I feel bad about myself, I feel this, I feel that. When it's like, oh God, I could have just stopped this before it all started, and now, here I am crying in the bathroom. You know what I mean? Like it's just very entangled. And I hope I'm making sense here, but likely I'm not. So if anybody's still listening, hey, how are you? Thanks for listening. Oh my God. Sometimes it just helps me to talk about these kinds of things to, just map it out in my brain. Because obviously all of these thoughts are in there, but it's like, it's like me writing my, like any kind of paper. Like if I'm writing a paper, I will do so many bizarre things to try and get all of the thoughts out on paper and then edit them and make them cohesive. It is so unbelievably hard. But it's just how it is. So, hope all of my rambling here has made some sense. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting couple of days, guys. So, if you are struggling or if you are like really feeling it these next couple days because you either aren't seeing family or you are, just upset about the world and blah blah blah, like feel free to reach out to me. I'm always ready to have a chat. I'm ready to have a chat. So if it's hard on you, I will listen and I will be a friendly set of ears for you. And I understand. So, and I think we all can understand in a way. So just know that you're not alone and it's not gonna be like this forever. So I feel like I'm kind of telling this to myself right now. Like, oh God, it sucks, you guys. Everything just kind of sucks, but it's not gonna be forever. So we'll get through it. And trust me when I tell you that I am also going through it. Like, so much. And there's a lot on this podcast that I do talk about, and I feel like I have this way of talking on the podcast right now where I'm very like uplifting and, trying to be uplifting at least. I hope so. I don't know. But I'm also going through it. And this podcast has just been a way for me to, like I just said a minute ago, like I feel like I'm talking to myself a little bit. Like I'm saying all these things and I'm documenting how I feel and my thoughts. And these are just run of the mill thoughts, you guys. I'm just kind of speaking about what I'm feeling. So I'm trying to frame it in a positive way and not be too much of an Eeyore about things, but I'm going through it too, and we all are, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, if you were not going through it, if you just decided that this was not, part of your life, and you just decided that you were gonna, you know, destroy all of your connections to current events in the world, like, that I think is pretty unhealthy in a lot of ways because this is traumatic what we're going through right now in so many facets of our lives, in work, in your family, in your friends, in your general social life, in every single aspect of your life. 2020 as it is has affected you. And there are some people, specific people that I know who have tried to tell themselves that it doesn't affect them and they're not, not dealing with it or whatever. And I encourage you to just feel your damn feelings, okay? Just sit in it and sit there and don't let somebody tell you like, "Oh, it's okay. We're not going through that. Like, it's whatever, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like, don't let somebody try and, like, be all toxic positive with you. And also, don't let somebody just be like, yeah, whatever. I don't have to deal with that. Yep, it's not, doesn't really affect me that much. So I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm whatever. Because, like, it's okay to be not fine, for God's sake. Like, I do get really frustrated with people who are like, who tell me time and time again when just like be happy, like be positive, just be happy about it. It's like, dude, no, because then in the future I'm going to have to deal with this again. Because it's not like something is just going to not happen for you when or it's not like something is just going to go away when you just decide to be something else and you just don't deal with that thing. It's like, yeah, for sure, it will eventually, and I know it will, and I can see the future, and I'm not, digging myself into a hole here, clearly. But, like, can't you just let me deal with these things now while they're happening, while I'm feeling them? So that I don't have to, like, bury them in the ground and then, X amount of years later, they all come bubbling up to the surface and I have a breakdown. Like, because I've seen it happen. And people close to me have had a breakdown and they have exploded, and I have been collateral damage to those breakdowns. And that person who did that to me, and those people who have done that to me, I don't want to do that to others. And that's why I feel like it's really important to just feel what you're feeling and feel it fully. And, don't wallow in it, I guess, but however long you personally need to feel that thing and you need to go through it, like, that's fine. Things are sad, and also things are happy. Things are hard, and also things are easy. And right now, we just happen to be going through a lot of sad, difficult, really, really agonizing times right now. And yes, find happiness in whatever you can find. I certainly do every day. Like, small, small things. But in general, I am very much feeling this time right now, this COVID time, this traumatizing time, as, I'm just dealing with it now. And I'm not trying to pretend like it's not happening. And I think some people are pretending like it's not happening. And, if that's your coping mechanism, fine. But don't explode. Don't explode and have me be nearby, because I have experienced that and it is not very fun. So, and also, another disclaimer, y'all, I am just telling you how I feel right now. If this conversation has made you upset or you want to talk about something in any way, you have to take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. Because, like, seriously, I am just one person talking about my personal experiences, and everything that I'm saying right now is very real and true to me. I'm not trying to change anybody's mind. I'm not trying to change anybody's life here. I'm just talking, and this is my diary right now. So here you are listening to it. But yeah, so just feel your feelings, lower your expectations, or just manage your expectations, really. Because it's okay to have high expectations, but you have to be there for yourself to bring those expectations to life. And feel your feelings and don't wallow in them, but also feel them. It's a gray area. Everyone's different. So, like, your feeling your feelings might last longer than somebody else's. It might be shorter than somebody else's. It's just, it is what it is. So I think I'm going to leave it there for today, you guys. I didn't expect this podcast to go this way, but we don't edit on this podcast and we do not cut things out. This is a very, very much just spur of the moment, very much improvisatory conversation. We love a good chat, and that's what we're here to do. So thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. This is, I believe, episode 19. What the heck? Of the Paper Soprano podcast. And I am your host, and of course, my name is Heidi. And of course, thank you so much for being here. If you appreciate this podcast and you want to support it, like this video, subscribe to the channel. You know the drill. Tell somebody about this podcast, and I will talk to you all tomorrow. Thanks so much for being here, and bye.